Thank you. Post lunch session. It's going to be fun. So I hope you're all listening. So first of all, thank you for coming back and to the post lunch session of the US IPA national event here. We have a panel of distinguished people from the different parts of the IPA ecosystem. In the US IPA, you keep hearing of the three pillars. For those of you who are just getting familiar with what we do, the first pillar is the education awareness. So the first session was focused on that. The second session, which is this one and the one following, is about the middle pillar, which is the ecosystem collaboration. And one of the things we're going to talk about is how do you bring those different parts of the creators, protectors, and enablers together to drive value. Drive value for society, drive value for individuals, and again, bring ideas from head to people's hands in an efficient way at a fair price quickly. How do we bring that ecosystem together? So I'll start with just introducing who's here. We're, again, representing all the three pillars, creators, protectors, and enablers here. Starting with Warren Tuttle. I'll just make introductions and then I'll give, so the way we'll do it is I'll start with introductions and then I'll give them a chance to say a few words, make opening remarks, and then we'll follow up with questions. So starting with Warren Tuttle and James Howard, both of them are inventors, so they bring the creator side of the story for us today. Esther Lim is with a law firm. She brings in the protector side of things. Russ Binns kind of puts both hats, enablers as well as protectors. So he's the chair of the protector committee. And then Phil Weilerstein is on the venture side, VentureWell, and he's going to talk about that today. And what we're going to try to cover is when you come up with ideas, when inventors and creators come up with ideas, how do we make those ideas relevant for society, and how do we bring that value to society and to individuals that are coming up with ideas? So let's start, Warren.
Nikhil, thank you. So again, I'm Warren Tuttle. So I wear a couple different hats. I've been a longtime advocate for the inventor community, president of the United Inventors Association, a 501c3 dedicated to inventor education. I also serve on the CI Squared Council for Innovation Inclusion. I also am on the PBAC Pro Bono Advisory Council. So very involved in all these issues we're talking about. Professionally, very quickly, I run open innovation programs for major companies. I do it for the largest housewares company in the United States. I did it for the largest power tool company based here near Atlanta. And I did it for the largest DRTV company. And what I do, when I say open innovation, I help companies reach outside their four walls for new ideas and put together those deals. So I've done over 125 licensing deals generated in the billions of dollars of sales. So I have a lot of experience in this area. Thank you for having me. I'm just going to talk quickly about the creation side. I'm more accurately an open innovation expert than I am an inventor, although I have developed products. None of them have done that well. I'm better at identifying things. You can read my book, Open Inventor Confidential, if you want to learn more. But let me just say, things do start with an idea. But frankly, ideas don't have a lot of value. Everybody has them, and I know you think your idea is the great idea, but if you don't figure out a way to protect them and monetize them, they don't have any value. And so I'll just say that very quickly, I could go on for hours, but the very first thing you need to do is develop those ideas. And you need to bring some sort of mechanical application, or if it's software, some sort of IP to it. But you need to first develop it. You need to first find out what are the details that make it work. Then you need to find out if anybody else has been doing it. And you need to take the process to the limit. And you need to then vet the product in whatever way necessary through experts or marketplace research to make sure that you know exactly where you stand in that marketplace. And as you're developing the product, particularly for consumer goods or mechanical product, you're going to develop utility function as you go along. And that's critical because without IP, and that's what we're all here for, you have nothing to collateralize. And so I'm speaking directly to the inventor community right now, these folks that sell their services to you for a lot of money and tell you can take ideas and send them out. I look at thousands of ideas a year. I've looked at over 100,000 proposals to me, and I can tell you that I've never licensed an idea, okay? Now, people can make this stuff up, but even if you could somehow get through the gamut and figure out how to license an idea, which is rarer than rare, then I promise you, you're not going to make a full royalty. Companies are going to take advantage of you. So you have to develop that product. You have to make sure it mechanically functions. You have to figure out what's the specific IP that you need to protect. You then need to go out and protect it, and then you need to collateralize that idea. And then you need to figure, you know, the right way through research of finding the right companies to take it to if you want to license or if you want to go to market directly, what's involved with building out a program. So it's a very involved step. There's nothing simple about this. There's nothing easy about this. I'm an old-fashioned blocker. Learn your blocking and tackling, do it the right way, and that's my message to inventors, but that's enough, I think, here to get us started.
Thank you, Warren. And how do I follow that? I'm not sure. I'm James Howard. I'm the Executive Director of Black Inventors Hall of Fame. I'm also a lifelong educator at the collegiate level, and I'm also a trained industrial designer. I've designed over 400 products in my lifetime, and I have over 20 patents. As Warren made note, the patent process, the creative process, is one that should be backed by knowledge. And I have started a film company just to make sure that I provide a platform for the underserved innovator. And the film company is called Black Inventors Hall of Fame Films. And many of you met one of my subjects in the Great Equalizer yesterday, and that was Rashawn. And he is part of one of 6 individuals in my next movie called Brothers Who Dare to Dream, uplifting themselves and their communities through invention. Now, I mention that title only because it plays right off of what Warren was just talking about in terms of being equipped and answering the questions of how and how and how. And in that movie, it will reveal one of the many layers that we do have to peel back on. And Scott, you spoke to it, at least I heard someone reference you to it, and that is the heart part of this, the H-E-A-R-T part, the empathetic part. What we learn as creators is that we are incentivized for many reasons. And then I'll close by giving you a very emphatic reason. I want to introduce you to Anthony. He's also part of the movie Brothers Who Dare to Dream. Anthony is a subject who had desired to seek intellectual property because he sat at his mother's bedside as she took her last breath, dying from cancer. Anthony then set in his heart that he wanted to do something for women of color as it related to cancer, and he saw intellectual property as the conduit for achieving that. But yet, after one resistance and another resistance and another rejection letter and the depletion of his life savings, Anthony decided one day that he would visit George Washington Bridge and take his life. And if not for a passerby, his would be a story from the past. Well, Anthony is still at it, he's still living, he's part of that movie. But that example takes you to that other layer and that other depth of understanding that creativity can come from many depths of reasons, and we need to peel back the layers on the source of that and then create an ecosystem that will in fact be attentive and nurture the Anthonys of the world so that they can become informed and better educated and so forth and so forth. So give the mic over.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's unfair I have to follow James. I'm a wannabe inventor. I don't have any patents to my name. I'm a partner and Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer at Finnegan. As some of you may know, Finnegan has about 300 IP lawyers. We are one of the largest IP firms in the country, if not the world. I've been focusing on patent litigation and counseling at Finnegan for over 25 years. I started in this profession where diversity was not discussed. We still confront an IP profession and a legal profession which seriously lacks diversity and representation across the board. IP presents an extra hurdle because of the requirement of STEM for patent attorneys and agents. Women continue to be woefully underrepresented as inventors, only 13%. Blacks, 1%. Hispanic Latino, 1%. So as someone who is entrusted to represent innovators to protect and wrap IP rights around their wonderful ideas, I feel that there's a great responsibility and a role to make sure that people get access to the knowledge and the resources. As a partner at a large firm, I recognize that cost is a great barrier to accessing legal services. It is not dissimilar to the general civil legal needs of this country, where about 90% goes unmet. I would dare to challenge that it's a similar landscape in the IP field. We've heard powerful stories that James have mentioned about folks who have wonderful ideas and innovations, yet they eliminate themselves and don't count themselves as inventors. There are multi-layered issues and challenges that we confront as leaders in the IP community, and so how do we help protect innovation and make that accessible? I think it does take a village. So I thank Scott and all of the collaborators in this room to support US IP Alliance to bring together the various groups and initiatives and programs to scale up and to reach more broadly the communities that desperately require services to get their patent applications on file, to obtain patents for their innovative ideas. I would like to recognize someone who has been an inspiration to me in this room for over 20 years. He's the person who used the words IP and social justice in the same sentence over 20 years ago, when nobody was talking about social justice in the field of intellectual property. And in fact, at an IP firm of 300 lawyers, when I mentioned there's a new initiative going on at Howard Law School, and there's going to be an Institute for IP and Social Justice, nobody knew what that meant. Professor Latif Amtima, who you heard from this morning, has been a visionary in talking about the need for social justice in bringing IP to all Americans, and not just those who can afford expensive law firms and expensive lawyers to protect and enforce their ideas. And so I really applaud efforts like Howard's that provide clinics, IP clinics now, where students are helping inventors in the local communities to protect their ideas. Those visions would not have been possible without the efforts of people and leaders like Professor Amtima. I'd be remiss in not giving a shout out to my long-lost distant brother, Daryl Lim, who's from Singapore with no natural resources, and he's focused on developing IP system, and he believes in the power of IP. I'm from Korea, also without much natural resources, and I've seen the Korean economy catapult through technology and innovation. So as a patent attorney, I value the power of IP and love technology, and I know we're all passionate about sharing this knowledge, and I think we can all collectively do more. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Russell Binns. I'm the CEO of Allied Security Trust, AST, and I guess my whole career has led up to me becoming the chair of the Protectors Group that I became yesterday. I was a litigator for 10 years. I was a litigator for 10 years, then was chief IP counsel at Avaya, which was a spinoff of Lucent, which was a spinoff of AT&T, like a grandchild company of AT&T. And now I've been in my current role for 8 years. And what I do now is I run a consortium of high-tech companies. We're a not-for-profit enterprise that basically creates a market for the sale of patents, buying and selling patents. We have about 40-some companies as our members, and they're kind of the most active buyers of patents in the world. And we also buy more patents than anybody else from independent inventors as well, which is, we try to create a market where I think a lot of independent inventors, and I love hearing from the creators about how the struggles they have, but we at least try to create some market for them to at least monetize patents, but there's a lot more that can be done. I'm struck hearing all these comments with the panel that was earlier about IP awareness. We clearly in this room and on this panel know how important IP is to the world. And I'm thankful that there's an organization like this that's trying to bring more awareness to the world, because let's face it, the IP awareness study showed that many people just don't even understand IP, don't even realize how important it actually is and how it can change neighborhoods and environments and the whole ecosystem, and why it's so important that we do have a well-maintained, strong patent system in the US and around the world, because it is such an important thing to have. I'll just speak a little bit about the Protectors Group. I'll make a call to arms. Anybody that's interested in participating in our committee, we welcome it. We've had, we need more engaged people to do more things. We've done a panel on patent valuations. We did a roundtable program on patent eligibility. We were going to do one on PTAB as well, but that hasn't occurred yet. But one of the more exciting things that we're shooting for next year or the years to come is to try to do a survey of district court judges and do a collaboration with the Federal Judicial Center and try to kind of get the opinions of judges that are dealing with these issues all the time that are not IP professionals. I think if we can succeed in getting a collaboration going there and actually being able to survey judges, I think that would be very exciting. And anybody that is interested in participating in that or bring other ideas that the Protectors Committee could work on, I welcome you to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Phil Weilerstein. I'm the president and CEO of VentureWell, and I'm here today representing the Enablers Group on behalf of myself and my co-chair, Steve Sisolka, who could not be here in person. We are a group that sort of helps to cross the barrier into the actual impact in society. So that encompasses organizations that support people to take their ideas forward, not just in the invention stage, but through the process of creating value and documenting that value in ways that will attract resources and creating the structures to take that forward, whether it be through licensing, formation of a startup, or other kinds of commercial activities. And it's a pretty diverse and broad group, including people who invest in intellectual property-based enterprise and ideas. And what we're trying to focus on is enabling people to better understand the pathway that's required to actually navigate from idea to the kinds of impacts, which, by the way, is the slogan of our organization, Idea to Impact, because we recognize that invention without an embodiment that has tangible value is often very hard for people to take forward, but also hard to really make any impact with. And so we're doing programming to raise awareness. We have a plan for a speaking series, and I would welcome suggestions and thoughts about topics to bring together thought leaders to talk about different areas along this continuum, including ways that government funding and programs can help to support innovation. There's a lot of focus right now, substantial resources allocated, and some really interesting opportunities to do things in a big, impactful way that will kind of create irreversible changes in the innovation ecosystems. Looking at those innovation ecosystems and how to make them more efficient, how to help people navigate more effectively. And we want to share resources. So like our colleagues in the education space, we are collecting resources, and we would welcome if folks have resources relevant to the definition of value, to the entrepreneurial process that can be shared. We have a number of things that our organizations have already produced that we want to get out to the world through the US IPA and global IPA mechanisms and forums. So looking forward to talking with you about these opportunities. And again, if you are doing work in this space, we'd really welcome your participation in the Enablers Group.
Thank you, Phil. You can see here, right, the ideas are being created, then they're being protected, and then we get to the point where they actually make an impact in society. As we think about that, I'm going to just start from Phil, you, a question here. We talk about opportunity matching, ideas, making sure the ideas that the creators are working on are really have a market. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you're doing?
Yeah, so I just referenced this innovation pathway, which often begins with an idea, but sometimes begins with a problem. And in fact, if you look at the idea origin, often people come up with an idea in response to a problem that they see, whether it's something very close to their heart, as James described, or it's something that just nags at them. And the ability to actually translate that from my idea to my solution for your problem is really what this innovation pathway is about, and the ability to turn that into a process that grows in its visible, tangible value and can attract both the resources and the partners necessary to take things forward. Virtually nothing happens by the action of a single person. Things start with the action of a single person. And so a lot of what we focused on in our work at VentureWell is on helping people learn how to create value, how to listen for needs, how to translate what you're hearing in an empathetic way into solutions, and to do that in our space very much around the use of technology and emerging discoveries in science that can be applied. We're in an era now where the origin of solutions is ever expanding at an expanding rate. And our ability as a society to actually use the discoveries that are happening now and to be able to keep up with our own capability to understand the world around us and better interpret and build solutions on the basis of that is really what this is about. So we're looking at ways for universities, for example, to become more efficient at moving intellectual property from the laboratory into the hands of people who can take it forward. We are, I think, very fortunate to be in a time when our legislators have recognized that these kinds of issues deserve taxpayer support, and that by providing better resources, there was recently in the CHIPS Act funding allocated to improve intellectual property offices at universities and directly to kind of build better capacity that will provide a lot of returns to society. There's also ways to actually just lift up and recognize what's going on and the way that invention has impacted the world. That's very consistent with what we all care about here, but we need to get well outside of our own spaces and find ways through film, through celebration of heroes, through storytelling to be able to get better understanding of where the things that people use in their everyday life actually come from and where those benefits come from. And finally, to look at ways to increase the capacity of society. And I think this is not something that really is restricted to one scope and area. This starts at, almost at birth, really, with trying to nurture creativity, with encouraging kids who have natural creativity not to lose it, to help them gain the skills to apply that creativity, and then as they grow and expand their own horizons, to help them be positioned to take advantage of that and take those ideas into places where they'll be able to get resources. The investment community is always looking for ideas. They are always looking for more opportunity. And if you've got good ideas, what I've heard from many, many people who manage investments in money is there's plenty of money. What I need is an idea that's demonstrated valuable and scalable so that we can move it forward. And so we need to help people be ready to do that. In order to cross this, we need to do it in a way that's different than we have been doing it, so that it's more inclusive and so that we actually begin with everyone in mind and not start with an exclusionary perspective as we get started. So I think it's a very exciting time, and those are some of the ideas that I think will really make a difference in getting ideas to connect with opportunity.
Thank you. Without a doubt, one comment you made about origin of solutions is expanding. I think that's very important in this age of technology. I'm going to ask Russ. So on the same lines, matching opportunity to opportunity matching to innovation. What do you see similar challenges in the challenge of alignment of effort with output in the different contexts that you have?
Well, there's certainly a lack of efficiency in getting from ideas, creations to the corporate world. For example, at my company, we see 20,000 patents for sale a year about. When you total up the total asking price of basically all the patents that are available on the open market, it's about $40 billion. And only a small fraction of that actually transacts, leaving 30 billion plus of patents just not transacting at all. And there's a lot of inefficiency there. To Warren's point, you got to create something that sometimes there's overcreation. I'm afraid that sometimes good inventions are actually lost in the noise because there's a lot of overfiling, I'd say. I try to talk about this is that companies, I think, file more applications they need, and I'd love to see them file less, but actually put more emphasis and more money into the applications that they are filing. Because I think everything goes back to patent quality, right? I mean, you have to start with a good idea, but if you don't draft a good patent around it, you're going to get an inventor that's usually gets hurt at the end. So you need to have more quality in the patent applications, which means that you need to find more resources, especially for underserved community that doesn't have the money, $30,000, $100,000 to file for some patent applications to get their idea off the ground. So there needs to be more resources there. But I look at also the patent attorneys. There's a lot of parts of the system that concern me. You look at how many, 700,000 patents are expected to be filed this year. I mean, when I was drafting patent applications back in 1995, I was getting twice as much money as what companies are paying patent attorneys to draft patent applications today. You see, and it's a numbers game. And when you think about and it's not a commodity. Inventions, ideas, patents, they're not a commodity. It's really more of an art, and you kind of get what you pay for. And so we need to make sure that there's resources. I'd love to see actually fewer patents, but higher quality patents in the system. It would make it easier to get that alignment and that efficiency between inventors, creators, to their monetization, or even when it needs to be protected. I mean, if you had higher quality patents drafted with more particularity, they'd be easier to enforce, harder to invalidate, easier to transact. It would make for a much more efficient system. And I think there's a lot of work to be done. And I think we're trying to get in the right direction, but those are some of my thoughts there.
Thank you. That's open, creative, Esther, how do you improve inclusion in inventing, create the right pathways for diverse inventors to file and to the tone that we're talking about the value of the ideas? Big question.
It is a big question, but I think all morning and throughout today, we'll be talking about the IP ecosystem and how do we mobilize and expand on existing programs and partner with each other to provide and make more readily accessible the patent services so that inventors can be assisted and to seek IP protection. The two major barriers to IP protection is one, awareness. Access to information on what kinds of things can you get a patent on? How do you do that? Who do you talk to? What are other forms of IP besides patents that may not be cost prohibitive? And does it work for my business strategy to pursue this? And it's not just on a national level, but internationally. I had the opportunity to open Finnegan's Shanghai office in 2008 and lived and worked in China for 6 years. Even though the common perception of China is generally as copyists and potential infringers, I saw countless innovations going on at small and large companies. I worked directly with inventors who were excited about new and exciting ideas in all fields of technology. And one of the small startups that I worked with, he eventually ended up listing on the New York Stock Exchange, and I got to go to the bell ceremony. It's one of the greatest feelings as a patent attorney to help a struggling company to come alive using IP assets as one of its major tools. As an American patent lawyer, you come with US-focused, US-centric views. But when you live and work abroad and interact with innovators around the world, you see that there are other systems and the importance of working and collaborating on an international level. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that US IP Alliance is doing, working with organizations like WIPO and others to see how we can collaborate to better provide US, who will probably likely market their products, not just in the US, but globally. The national borders don't exist as much as it used to 10, 20 years ago. So I think it does take a village. We need to do more pro bono work in IP, make those pro bono services readily accessible and available. The Patent Office, through its regional offices, has programs. Language access is another issue. And PTO regional offices are doing that for underrepresented communities. Not a lot of people know about it. Again, it's access to information and utilizing existing resources.
Thank you. Great points, and great points for the global audience here. That we take away. So, thank you for that, Esther. James, question for you. Similar lines from a creator's perspective. How do you tie value to what work the creator is working on?
Indeed, indeed. The precursor to value is information and awareness. Okay? And all creators are journeymen. And so I have an idea. So prior to setting out on that journey, and Scott, I'm about to give you an acronym that I want you to bite on and consider acting on it. Prior to setting out on that journey, imagine, if you will, we, right now, represent the expedition outfitter, right? And so prior to sending an inventor out on that journey, require that inventor or admonish that inventor to have a conversation, right? With, and here's your acronym. Now imagine it's 20 years down the line now, because none of us are ready to retire just yet. At least I know I'm not. But imagine, if you will, an inventor can go to a service corps of retired intellectual property professionals. That's SCRIP, Service Corps of Retired Intellectual Property Professionals, and have a moment like this. Similar to many of you, when you started your businesses, you went to the SBA and you met with SCORE. So this is our version of SCORE, right? This is how we do it. We continue to have these conversations, but you do them in a structured manner, in a manner that doesn't necessarily have to cost an innovator too much money up front. Aswin and Anthony, by the way, depleted his life savings, $25,000, trying to fulfill his dream of opening up a women's center to deal with cancer for women of color. So imagine, if you will, again, the monikers on the wall, Expedition Outfitter, and you have these sites throughout the country where innovators can come and have this conversation, become better informed, become better aware. This is how we do it.
Fantastic. Okay, so Joyce, Stephanie, Daryl, Latif, our committee chairs for the education, you got your work cut out for you.
There you are.
Script. That's right. Thank you. All right, so, all right, Warren, multiple pathways
Bring
to,
it home here, right?
yes,
All right.
yeah, multiple pathways, pathways to monetization of ideas. You worked on many, two major ones, licensing or selling other ideas. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's really hard following all these guys because they're really so eloquent and just have these visions. So I'm just hammer time, that's all. Listen, there's two ways to go to market. One is on your own and one is licensing through others. And so I'll just keep it simple. Most inventors, in my opinion, I've never done the research, probably want to license through others because it's very difficult to go to market on your own. We have the issue of raising capital, and these nice fellows and gals down here will take you on that process. But I wrote a chapter in my book called The 30 Steps to Going to Market with a Consumer Product, and I've done it before. Not only do you have to, build it, manufacture it, do it at the right price, bring it in, but there's all the issues of freight, all the land bridge trucking, all the fulfillment centers, all the selling it to stores like Bed Bath & Beyond who don't pay on time, to hopefully getting your money back and reinvesting. So I'll just say the 30 steps are quite complicated. If you're going to go that route, you need to build a team, and you need to have resources, you need to have money, you need to have capital, and when you raise capital, you got to be able to take that call at 1 in the morning to explain to the people that are giving you the capital why it's not going quite the way you planned. The other is to license, and that's really where my area of expertise is. We want more companies to get involved in that. In essence, those companies become your partner. Now, you don't make as much per unit. Inventors are always shocked when they only get a 5% or 3% royalty. They don't get a bigger share. They always want to know, how much is the company making? I want a part of that. It's completely irrelevant. They're putting up all the money. They have to hit price points. They know how. They have the brands. They have the shelf space. They have all the ways to get you to market. So hopefully what you can do is license a product, turn it over to them, and go back to what you're doing and develop more. So that's a big decision that people have to make. We all start the same way as creators, and we all make these decisions as we go along, and they're all critical. So that's the nuts and bolts of it on the front lines.
Thank you. Great insights again for our creator community. We're almost out of time. Should we maybe a few questions for the audience, otherwise, so the panel? All right, we're out of time. Okay, all right. So there's our
Is that
chance.
1 minute over or 1
yes,
minute under?
it's over. All right. So again, thank you to the panelists for a wonderful event, and looking forward to more collaboration. Thank you.